I was coming out of a relationship that I had ended, and I didn't feel good about it. But it was after realization I had 15 to 20 years of bad cycles of relationships and a little bit of anxiety and stuff that came from that. But it was more of like a self sabotage mentality.
You first have to get you back. And again, to get you back, that's conditioning. When you get you back first and you're now at this level, people want to line up with you. Think about it. A lot of you are dealing with breakups and you're kind of in a rut, you're in a fog. No one wants to be around you. And the decision to be in a relationship is an emotional decision. It's not logical. You can't take a PowerPoint presentation and say, oh, you're going to want to be around me because of A, B, and C. It doesn't work like that. People either want to be around you or they don't, based on how they feel when they're around you. So if you have a relationship that's not going so well, you can have all the concepts in the world, but if you're not enjoyable to be around, good luck with that. That's not going to work out very well. You can have all the best qualities in the world, but if someone doesn't enjoy their experience with you, that's not going to work out too well. But to get yourself back there, you can't concept your way there. That's a conditioning. That's your ability to control the way you feel, okay? Go to refocusonhappiness.com. What you want to do is you want to click the button at the top, contact Lance. Very, very easy form. When you go there, you'll put your name, your last name, your email address, and your phone number. And I will get in touch with you in just a few days, okay? Just be a little patient. I got a lot of people I work with, but I'll get in touch with you in 72 hours maximum. But after you do that contact Lance link, feel free to scroll around here. Again, Steve Martin has a great phrase. He says, be so good at what you do, people cannot ignore you. If you scroll down, you'll see testimonials from psychologists, doctors, zillions and zillions and zillions of past clients, including medical directors, et cetera, et cetera. So like I said, I'm making this so obvious for you, what I represent for you, what I believe. The only reason you would not do this is if you're a glutton for punishment. So yeah, feel free to take a good look around. Again, I'm gonna make it very clear what I represent for you if this is something you're serious about, okay? Awesome. Look forward to speaking to you soon. So Jeremy, what made you sign up for this program? What made you sign up for Modernizing You?
Well, I mean, initially, I was coming out of a relationship that I had ended, and I didn't feel good about it. But it was after realization I had 15 to 20 years of bad cycles of relationships and a little bit of anxiety and stuff that came from that. But it was more of like a self-sabotage mentality.
Yeah.
When things were going good, you say, hey, this is going a little too good. I better sabotage it.
Right. Yeah. Better sabotage it.
I think that was
what the fuck? Yeah, go on.
Yeah. It was based off a little bit of anxiety from what the future held, and just a little bit of runaway. You couldn't trap dealt in what you thought. But I mean, that was the initial. I just got sick and tired of feeling like that, and wanted to fix the self-sabotage and just feeling blah and kind of miserable every day.
Gotcha. So you got to the point of fuck that. 15 years is enough.
That's right. You got to
just fucking hamster wheel. What the fuck?
Right.
Yeah, that's how I always tell people. I'm like, dude, call me up when you're like, what the fuck? That's when you know. When you're like, what the fuck? It's time for us to have a conversation. So
Right.
so that's where you got there. You saw for like about 15 years, your way was not working per se, and you're like, you know what? Let's just figure out what I can. In what ways I can make this more pleasurable, more enjoyable. What is it? What kind of what kind of tools can I use?
Absolutely.
Okay, so awesome. So let me ask this one. When you and I first spoke, you and I were pretty. Sometimes a lot of times I speak to people, and it's clearly there's going to be some time before their mindset is there. I always tell people, I'm like, hey, it's not enough to want change. You also have to have the right mindset for change. Like I was speaking to this guy yesterday. He's like, oh, I'm like, I've always been this do-it-myself mentality. I'm like, how's that working out for you? How's the do-it-yourself mentality going? Are you happy? Are you getting the outcome? But when it doesn't occur to people to step out of their own way and find someone who actually has a specific path to success, who's done it zillions of times, when they don't have that mindset, they're like, oh, I'm just going to keep reading some books. It's a terrible fit, because they want change, but their model, their paradigm of how to get there is fucking garbage. So but you got it. You understood. You and I are working together within a couple hours, which is great. It's like I could feel all right, my white flag's in the air, man. Like, let's just fucking fix this. So let me ask you this: what made you? I mean, you're doing amazing. You'd fucking pretty much graduate as far as I was concerned by like week 4, week 3, week 4. I mean, we're in bonus territory now as far as I'm concerned. But let me ask you, man, when you and I first started working together, or when you and I first spoke, what was it about our conversation that made you want to take a leap of faith with me rather than keep researching?
I think it was realizing that everything else that I had tried was maybe a short-term fix, I guess would be the way to say it. You might feel good for a day or two, or it wasn't lasting. It always came back.
Gotcha.
Where it started. And I think the way you presented the program and the confidence you have in your ability to deliver was a great selling point. I mean, it was, I guarantee this now, but the guarantee comes with, you've got to do the work. I mean, it's not put on, and you've got to have the mindset that you want things to change. You want to fix yourself. I mean, you'll deliver as long as we do our part. I knew I had to do my part.
Yeah, that's right. And you did your part, man. You worked fucking hard. You were, I always tell people, I always manage expectations like, hey, we speak once a week. Yeah, you have the process you do, but we speak once a week. But I say, look, I'm going to show up a lot more than you probably believe I'm going to. And I said, I'm going to feed off of you. And you fucking worked hard. You were constantly sending me feedback, telling me how things are going, asking questions. You were very engaged. And that made it, one, a joy to work with you, a pleasure to work with you. But two, it gave me, it's like you get, I'm going to fuel off of you. I mean, you want to work hard, I'll fucking work you hard. And were you, did you expect that we were going to work as hard together as we did over the first few weeks? Did you think we were really kind of constantly have those back and forths? No. Or was that, or did you think you were going to hear from me once a week, like you believed?
Yeah. I guess when you're coming from that feeling like that, and you've tried stuff and it hasn't worked, there's always a little bit of doubt. And so you question it, but then, so you do that obligatory text or call and say, hey man, is this going to work? Are we going to do this? So when you answer the call, answer the text, and the reassurance and the confidence and the professionalism of following up with what you said you were going to do, you're like, fuck it, I'm all in. If he says he's all in, so I'm going all in. And the support system was a lot more than you would think it would be on the front end. You hear, because you've heard people say before, I'm all in, I'm here for you, and it sort of goes off by the wayside. It may change over a minute, but every time I called, every time I text, anytime I had a question, you were there. You're there. It's not one time a week. It was a lot more than that.
Awesome. So when you pull the trigger, and you gave me the credit card, and you're like, all right, here's the money, let's do it. Were you nervous at all? Like, how'd you feel? Like, were you like, I can't believe I'm actually doing this. What the fuck am I doing here? I'm giving like this credit card to this fucking guy. I saw his fucking thing on Facebook. What were you thinking in your head at that point?
Yeah. When I gave the credit card, I was like, shit. Where we go? But after, I don't know, maybe after about the 4th day, the credit card, the money, the investment was never a second thought. After about 4 days, the first 2 weeks they're not, you've got to do what you've got to do. You've got to work hard and be committed to what you're doing. I mean, that is one of the biggest things. You have to be committed to it. But after about the 4th day, and you start to notice stuff, and in your thinking, you just notice everything. The credit card statement or the check card statement, there's no second thought about it. The 3rd day was the last day I thought about the credit card statement or the check card. After that, it's never entered my mind until you just now brought it up.
Yeah, I was just kind of curious what was going through your head at different phases, especially in the first few days. So let me ask you, now you had some really big wins right from the beginning, but I told you, and I would tell everyone else, I'm like, hey, you know, it's very easy to ride a wave of like, hey, I'm doing something kind of cool. I'm feeling motivated. You know, I'm doing something, and there's a wave of excitement, right? So you had a couple of early wins, which were awesome. But I said to you very clearly, I'm like, hey, Jeremy, like, we're gonna have some challenges ahead, and this is cool, this is great, but you know, just be aware that not only will you have some challenges ahead while you and I are working together, but there will be some ongoing throughout your entire life. This is a skill, this is a conditioning that you can use ongoing. So, but at what point did you really, truly, truly, truly know you're like, hey, this shit's gonna fucking work? Not just now, but long term. When were you like, you know what, I see where this is ultimately going?
Maybe probably about the fourth week, the middle of the fourth week, when you know, stuff would pop up, and you know, the daily practice and the boost, and when you realize what you're doing to rewire your neurological system, and you feel it, and you know, and instantly, when you can have a bad thought, a bad day, bad something, and it's gone within, for me, it was never really minutes, it was seconds. You know, I could pull out of something and change the thought and really understand that I'm in control of the thoughts that make me happy. Every single second, I have the complete power over that. And probably by the middle of the fourth week, when it just really hit home.
Wonderful, wonderful. So let me ask you this question. Okay, when did you have a moment where you became your own version of Neo, where you're like, holy shit, I am the fucking one? What was like during the entire 6 weeks? What was something you were able to do, or a way you were able to show up? You're like, holy fuck, I never would have done that, you know, 6 weeks ago or 6 years ago. Like, when was the moment that you really almost surprised yourself with how far you'd really come? Do you have a moment like that you could share?
Yeah, I mean,
like almost blew your own mind.
Well, an instance was, you know, we had some challenges with an ex, you know, about contact, and there's no games. It's not like a no contact to get your ex back. It's a system that is solely based on making yourself better. And so to do that, you have to remove triggers. And if the X is a trigger or would hinder the program or the process anyway, we remove that, right?
Right.
So I guess there was an instance where there was some contact coming in here, and I was able to just follow the advice and say, listen, this is my time. If I feel like it, I'll contact you when I get done. But had an instance where we had talked about we don't owe anyone any excuses or any answers to the decisions we make. I don't have to give you a reason. And there was an instance I had my line in my sand. I said, you know, it's either this way or this way. And I thought, you know what, when this happens, if I'm having to present that this is my decision, what will happen to me? How will I feel? Well, I was presented with that probably between week 5 and 6.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we had talked about that, said, if you feel comfortable, you make that phone call. And it ended up making it, and I made that decision. And the whole time I thought, you know, this is going to be hard. It wasn't. You know, I made a decision, and that's all I needed to know is that I made a fucking decision. And, you know, I thought maybe I'll have to do a little boost or do something after you get that. No, it was solidified that I made a decision. That's the decision I'm sticking with. I don't owe you an answer. I don't owe you an explanation. And it was solidified right then that the program was successful.
Awesome. So important question, very important. Now, the program is really about getting you back. That's really what it's about. When you get you back, yes. when you have the ability to feel great either way, when you are truly impervious to your external world, and again, a lot of people kind of come to work with me for relationship challenges, but you now recognize this is for fucking everything. It's for work challenges, business challenges, health doesn't fucking matter challenges. It's for anything. It's because from a biological perspective, when you are stressed by your external world, it doesn't matter what the source is. It's all the same shit. So it's like you have a mechanism, a conditioning, a practice, a skill that can get you through anything now. So here's my question. Do you now truly feel like you are the master of your life ultimately? No matter what your ex does, doesn't do, whatever happens in your life, do you truly feel like you have the skill, the conditioning, the power to give yourself the ability to feel how you want to feel, so that you are not at the mercy of your external world or other people or any things or whatever? Do you feel like you have that skill now?
Yeah, I will say absolutely, and I'll follow it up with some examples, or maybe some short stories.
Short
Uh,
stories. I like
before,
story
before
time.
before we started working together, I had read books, on some were relationships, some were life issues, but I had talked to counselors, and I guess for the last 5 to 8 years, I've taken medication for anxiety, and that was mainly for ruminating thoughts, rumination, turning stuff into bigger issues than it was.
Mm-hmm.
And so the books really didn't help. I mean, you can read a book, but without proper interpretation, you could probably get lost in it.
Right.
And counselors, the counselor that I saw two different, not two at two different periods, but more than two times. The solution was you'd feel good maybe talking there, but you really weren't getting a solution to your problem. He might say, well, let's change this medication, let's lower the dose, let's up the dose. There was never really a solidified solution or something that was permanent. It would last. Now you might feel good for 2 or 3 days, but then next week you got your appointment and you're back there talking about the same shit you were talking about the week before.
Right.
So when we started working together, and I thought, this is about a lot of scientifically based stuff with neural pathways and trying to rewire your thoughts and emotions. So I don't think we talked about this until maybe 2 or 3 days ago. I said, you know what? I'm going to quit taking any type of medication for anxiety. That was a decision I made for myself. And I noticed as we went on and the daily practice was going, we're working on our neural pathways and firing the brain cells together and wiring them together. I noticed that I didn't have a need for it. It wasn't if a thought came in, like it would have came in before, it could either boost or think about the daily practice. I was able to refocus and shift back to the thoughts that I wanted to think about without having to rely on any type of Western medicine.
Wonderful. That's fucking awesome, man. Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, you're literally becoming your own chemical factory. They've proven this stuff. You can actually literally create almost like the same chemicals that the pharmaceuticals would do, but a better version, a healthier version. So that's not a surprise. I have to be very careful when I work with people, saying, hey, I'm not telling you for sure, but there are a lot of people that after we're done, the things they were taking, whatever it's antidepressant, anti-anxiety, whatever it is, they're off that stuff because they are, just think about it. And again, I'm not a doctor here, but it's fucking obvious. It's like if most people are living in the emotions of stress, fear, anger, sadness, well, that is simply, creating certain imbalances in their body. But all of a sudden, if you go from the emotions of stress to feeling joyful, gratitude, confidence, all that kind of stuff, all of a sudden it's like your whole body goes, whoo, and you feel fucking good. And when you feel good and you're living in the emotions of gratitude, joy, happiness, and you're not living in stress, well, all of a sudden your body's able to fucking relax and you're able to just, you put yourself in a state to harmonize. So it's just common sense. Even all the doctors will tell you stress is the biggest killer. Stress is what actually activates a lot of problems in your body. Like they say, disease, it's a body not at ease. So all of a sudden you're shifting from being in the emotions of stress to feeling the emotions you want to feel. Well, no shit. You're not going to need a lot of that other stuff you needed to create balance. You don't need to create it artificially because you're creating it organically within your body. So that's not a surprise. Again, I always have to tell people in a very careful way because I'm not a doctor per se, but it's fucking obvious what's going to happen. So, so that's awesome. Not a surprise. You're basically using your body to become a natural organic chemical factory to create the states that you want to feel when you want to feel them. And again, it's not, just being super clear with anyone listening to this, it's not about perfection. I tell people all the time, It's not like you're going to wake up and there's going to be like, you know, birds chirping, flying over your head, a rainbow the next morning. It doesn't work like that. You might have a really shitty day to start, but you have a practice you can do that literally reinvigorates, you know, resurrects this most powerful version of you, so you can resurrect that version of you how you want to feel. Doesn't ignore the stuff. Doesn't you know, you're always going to be potentially vulnerable to those things, but you don't have to fucking stay there. And because you're not staying there vast majority of the time, all of a sudden your body is shifting from stress to ease. So it's just common sense that the things you used to, things that people might need in the past to keep their body stabilized, they don't need it anymore. So, you know, and as long as you, like what you have now, you have a skill, a condition that's going to last the rest of your life, Jeremy. Does that mean you're not going to have challenges or issues? No. But it means you'll have a way that you'll never have to be at the mercy of, well, I guess this is going to be a shitty day or shitty week or shitty month or whatever, and who knows what the fuck I'm going to get out of this. You have the ability to literally take yourself out of that. And so therefore, those periods of imbalance will be very short-lived, and you'll know how to do it, and you'll get even better at it. Like I tell people all the time, you know, whatever you define as an 8, 9, or 10 today, next year will be a fucking 5. You will constantly redefine next levels of what you consider an 8, 9, or 10. And as you become more capable, as you fire and wire, your body, your brain will become more adept at firing and wiring, because those neural networks, the ones that keep you feeling fucking great the way you want to feel, they're just fucking locked and loaded, ready to go. And they become even more capable and adept. So yeah, no surprise there, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, and we even had that conversation, I think, maybe 3 or 4 days ago that I think we were talking about the day, and I said, I noticed, you know, last week was like a 10. I mean, every day was a 10. You may have had a little blip here and there, but what's a 30-second blip in a 24-hour day?
It's fucking nothing. And even if it was a 30-minute blip, who gives a shit? You know that you're the only variable. From now for the rest of your life, you're the only variable, man. And, you know, you will have a time in the future that will be more than 30 seconds. That's guaranteed. But it'll never be, you know, 30 days, or it'll be, you know, you might have to battle, go to battle for a little while, a couple hours or so. But it's not something that you'll be at the mercy of, where like, oh, I wonder when this is going to stop. Well, so that's the thing. So that's
like,
great.
You know, we were saying that last week was a 10, but then this week compared to last week, what is a 10 now? I look back, it was maybe a 7 compared to this week. You know, the scale just keeps going up. May look back next week and say, well, last week was just a 9 compared to this week. You know, it doesn't stop. Every day gets better. And it's part of the living in gratitude, and it's feeding off that from everyone around you too.
Awesome. And by the way, to anyone listening here, don't think for a fucking second this is some kind of gratitude fucking program. This is a wiring program. It just, you know, for most people, these things like gratitude, appreciation, so it's a fucking concept to them. I just need to love myself. They don't know what the fuck that really means. To them, it's just a concept. So for anyone listening here, when we're talking about, like, you know, being able to create these states, they're not created. They're not a concept. Jeremy has actually learned how to wire it, where it is an actual way of being. It's not a concept. He's not reading through it. He has a specific process that he does to re-invoke it. It is not like any bullshit fucking gratitude diary or some shit like that. So just be very aware. He did a specific process so he can literally reignite, resurrect those states. Okay? So just to be clear.
Yes, absolutely. It requires work, time, patience, and having someone to show you how to do it.
Awesome. Jeremy, let me ask you a question. Over the last 15 years, what are some of the things you tried that did not work? That, like, you're like, you know, like, for example, like a gratitude journal, just a gratitude journal by itself. I don't know. But what are some of these things you tried in the past, you're like, that just didn't get you that outcome?
Oh, like I said, like counseling, reading books, not necessarily self-help books, but, you know, the standard books that to help you in life, in business, in relationships. Pretty much when you read them, it doesn't do shit. You know,
right.
You don't have somebody that has put in the training and the time to show you how to activate what needs activated. And definitely trying it on your own, saying, I've got this. You know, I screwed it up last time. I'll get it right this time. It doesn't work like that.
Yeah. When I speak to people, I'm like, I go through their past a little bit, and like usually it's been going on like with you, like 15 years, and like
Jeremy, you sure you want to keep doing it that way? Is that you really want to roll the dice on that one again? I mean, come on, man. But yeah, I mean, it's everyone's got their threshold, and it's cool. And it's great. Like, people all the time say, "Oh, I wish I'd known that years ago." I wish I'd known this years ago or whatever. I don't fucking think like that at all. I'm glad I went through the times I went through. Like I said, when I speak to somebody on the phone and they give me their sad story, like, I'm not going to shed any tears. They have no fucking idea what I've been through, the challenges I had, or the people I work with. But here's the cool thing, man. I look back and I wouldn't change it. I'm like, you know what? That was awesome because it helps me appreciate what I have. I tell people, no matter what happens with this, this coaching thing, I got the best fucking practice in the world. I'm the beneficiary of the ultimate way to feel, where no matter what, I know I can handle it and I know how to make myself feel good. And that's kind of it. But my point is that when I look back at the years that were tough, I'm like, I'm glad they were tough because now I appreciate what I have. Wise man once said, the sweet is not as sweet without the sour. So it's like, that allows me to appreciate what I got. And that's what's great for you, man. It's like, you know what? You know what it's like to not have this. You know what it's like to fucking be spinning your wheels and not really sure. And here you are now. Now you have something for the next, 40, 50 years. You're good. Like you're good. And so that will allow you to appreciate it and be truly grateful, where gratitude's not a concept. Again, it's all these things. They're just a bunch of concepts. Like, one of the most obvious ones I hear all the time is people telling everyone, you just need to love yourself. What the fuck does that even mean? Do you know what that means? Like,
no,
it's
I don't,
constant,
no, no clue.
Yeah, no one knows what it means. It's like, it's the idea is going from conceptual to actual, embodiment, where you're going from thinking to feeling to being. Most people, they're just in thinking. They don't know how to get into feeling or being, where it's like they are it. And that's really what this whole process is about. So, it's like, all right, man, keep spinning your wheels. Come back to me when you're tired of trying to figure it out by yourself. And ultimately, the people I want to work with are people that don't want to figure out by themselves. Like, dude, I mean, all the programs that I've attended, all the people I've learned from, all the mentors I've personally had, and I'm constantly doing it. It's the most fun, satisfying, just wonderful experience to develop yourself and invest in yourself. Why would you not want to do that? Why would you not want to do that? So, but that's great, man. So for the rest of your life, you're going to have that skill, that condition.
And it's almost indescribable feeling, knowing that no matter what situation you walk into, where you're going, when you come out of it, you're unshakable.
Yep.
Anything that it is thrown at, and you have that confidence. Rejection, not in work, in life, in relationships, that will never break you again. Will never shake you.
You are unshakable, as Tony Robbins says. So last question here. Who do you think this program is for? Who do you think could benefit from this type of program?
Every single person out there.
Every single person. What if someone's having what if someone has a relationship that is, they're still together, but they know it's, there's some arguing, there's fighting, there's any like kind of discord. Do you think they could benefit if they're just not getting back to that sweet spot again?
If you're in a relationship and the relationship's good, you can benefit. If you're having issues with communication and there's some shaky points, this would benefit them. Anybody that's in a relationship that's on the brink, where they're undecided on what they want to do, if you're dealing with any type of adversity in the relationship, this will make you stronger. It will open your eyes. It will give you the ability to move forward knowing a lot more than you know right now, because they're in a relationship. Let's just stay on the relationship. They're in this doing things that they don't even know they know. They can't, they're acting out. How do I say it?
It's like they're like an autopilot. They're like they don't even know what they don't even know what they're doing. It's like they're in the program. It's like they don't know what they don't know. They're not even aware that there's a better way of showing up. And when you show up in a stronger, better, loving, more grateful way, people react differently to you, but they're not even aware that there's actually a way to actually create that feeling, that state of being. So, and when you feel that state of being, you communicate differently, but they're not even aware that something like that is available. They're just like, oh, I guess this kind of sucks. I guess it is what it is. You know, it's like the classic thing where people look to others. Oh, it's their fault. They're always reacting. Like I tell people, like right from the beginning, hey, let me tell you a little secret to life. Happy people don't fight. If you're fucking good, you won $10 million lottery, you don't give a shit. It's like, it's not the other person, it's you. You're reacting off them, it's you. It doesn't matter whose fault it is. If you can't stop yourself from them pushing your buttons, then it's fucking you. And that's it. And that's the bottom line. So, and then people aren't aware that is even possible. They think it's like some fucking Zen Buddhist thing. It's not. It's a conditioning.
And this is a great program for sales professionals. The confidence, the mindset that is instilled in this program. And I noticed I made a phone call. It was never able to lock down a meeting for someone. I was like, well, screw it. I'll just leave a voicemail. About 2 days later, I got a call back that said, hey, is this Jeremy? You left a voicemail? And I was like, yeah. So I ended up meeting with him a few days after that. And she said, I'll tell you why I called. She said, that voicemail you left, you sounded like a badass, and I want to do business with you.
Nice.
And,
nice.
and you know, you get there's no arrogance to it. It's self-confidence and knowing that the universe is rigged in your favor.
Wonderful. I'm glad you threw that in there because, you know, so maybe last question here. So I know you didn't come to me primarily for the business and the sales stuff. Like I know you do sales and everything like that. But looking, if you had just taken this course specifically for business purposes, for sales purposes, to take your wealth aspect to the next level, do you think this program paid off just looking at that alone, not just in the short term, but the long term?
Absolutely. And I think how you do it, you know, each individual lesson, and when you talk to them, is tailored. I mean, we talked about stuff and we got into the sales side of it, and each training session and Q&A session we had is sort of tailored to each individual client. So the program it feels like it's almost specific to each individual student. So we started out working on certain sets of goals, but then we ended up talking about sales, and then we transitioned a lot more work into that section. But it wasn't, you know, from some of the Q&As with some of the other ones, theirs were client specific. It's not like it's come one, come all. I've got one program for you.
Right, yeah.
This is how we're going to do it. You make it tailored for each individual student, and that goes a long way for the learning and the professionalism of how you deliver on what you say.
Wonderful, man. Good stuff. Fuck yeah, Jeremy. That's awesome.